Welcome. So my objective with this video is to help you score a good grade for your maths thesis or a final paper. I have about 30 tips for you. Now, sorry to disappoint you already, but there is no magic. A good maths thesis requires very hard work. It means that those tips are intended to help you if you are willing to work hard so that you don't waste your time and effort. In a sense, they are here to channel your energy and goodwill. Now, do not take those tips for granted. I made this list based on my personal experience supervising maths thesis, but of course feel free to disagree or to apply other methods that work best for you. The first subject that I want to discuss relates to the substance of your maths thesis. First, you need to choose a subject that you like. It means that you should not let anyone decide what is the subject you're gonna write about. So do not follow trends or do not follow what your intuition is telling you what might be a good subject to score a good grade. Now, that being said, you should choose a subject that matters, meaning that if you come to some result, those results should be interesting to other people than you. 2. Choose one subject only and explore that subject entirely. This means that you should not be too broad. What I see is that 95% of the time, maths theses are too broad. And of course I get it. You want to write a maths thesis that has an impact, and for this you are under the impression that you should tackle a vast subject. But in fact, the way to go is to write about something feasible and to put a concrete proposal on the table, not the other way around. Look at this graph on the left. 0 multiplied by 10 equals 0. While 0 plus 1 equals 1. Think about this. 3. Your research question should be just one easy sentence long. Easy means that your research question should fit on a Word document single line, and that your fellow classmates should be able to understand what it says. 4th, if you are a legal student, make it legal. Of course, it doesn't mean that you cannot rely on economic thinking or computer science, but the question you will answer should be legal in nature. 5th, you should have one hypothesis, meaning something you think can be true and something that you can test. The testing doesn't mean that you should model your question, but it means that you should be following several steps that will lead you to a proper result. That's a very important point. A good maths thesis is one to which you do not know the answer before you start. Is one where you need to build on different steps to get from results to results. 6th, in your introduction, you should summarize the state of the literature. Put differently, you should say where research is already providing us with answers and where the gap is in the literature. And 7th, once you have your subject, research question, and hypothesis, you need to come up with a concrete plan of action. This means that you need to explain very precisely what you're going to do and how this will lead you to test your hypothesis. Until you have reached that stage, your maths thesis is too imprecise. In short, you need to go somewhere with your writing instead of walking around your subject. Okay, we leave the substance now and we go to the writing. First, sentences, paragraphs, and chapters should build on top of previous ones, meaning they should not be interchangeable. This implies that you need to explain and prove something before moving on to the next step. I know this is hard, and in fact this is where I see the most struggle when grading maths thesis, but you should be spending time on that and asking yourself the following question. Is the flow of my writing logical? 2. When writing, you should ask yourself another question. And then what? This means two things. First, can I get a step further? And second, does it matter? For example, if you say that the Data Act regulates smart contract, you want to go a step deeper and explain what the regulation does, and also explain why it matters to understand it. 3. Don't be descriptive. Usually, the first chapters are descriptive because this is where you start from. In the final version of your maths thesis, each paragraph should matter. This means that each paragraph should be absolutely necessary to prove your point. If you can cut out one paragraph without losing the flow of your maths thesis, then do it. In concrete terms, chapters describing the functioning of a technology or the inside of a new regulation should be removed. Instead, your explanation should serve your point at any time, meaning that you can explain a technical point, but do it in the context of an argument. 4. Do not use the passing voice. Also, do not use it and this and similar undefined words. 5. Most of what you will write should not appear in the final version of your master thesis. Good writers eliminate 90% of what they write just to keep the absolute substance. I think that you should read the stage where you enjoy removing paragraphs because you know it is making your writing clearer. 6. Start all your paragraphs with a short sentence, less than one line, summarizing the idea of the entire paragraph. And yes, this means that each paragraph should have only one idea. You will see that doing so will actually force you to put your thoughts in order. 7. Write short sentences. 8. Generally speaking, a good paper has many diverse footnotes. You want to refer to the latest literature, the latest cases in the field, and you want to make sure that you are quoting the most cited articles in your field of research. And what you also want to avoid is to having more than 2 footnotes in a row with the same reference. And 9, when you quote a source, always explain why you are quoting it between brackets after the reference. And also please, put the page number. So, for example, do not quote Brian Archer, The Nature of Technology, What It Is and How It Evolves, Free Press 2009, but quote Brian Archer, The Nature of Technology, What It Is and How It Evolves, comma, 25, meaning page 25, Free Press 2009, bracket, explaining that new technologies arose as combinations of other technologies. Always do that. Now, we leave the writing part, and I want to give you some concrete tips when it comes to the methods by which you should be approaching and drafting and concluding your master thesis. First, very important, never miss deadlines. Second, pay the greatest attention to footnotes and the language. That is in fact the very first thing that your professor will check when opening your master thesis or article. This means that your footnotes must be absolutely perfect. You can usually choose the citation style that you prefer unless one is imposed by your master thesis supervisor, but once you've chosen one, you must stick to it. Also, if you know that you would like to publish your master thesis in the form of an article, try to see which citation styles are imposed by the journals that you like and apply it. 3. You want to source all of your claims. It's not because you write on a novel subject that you shouldn't build on the existing literature. This means that one page, without at least a few footnotes, is extremely suspicious. 4. When you read an article, you should take all the good elements out of it so that you never have to open it again. This means that you need to copy-paste the good paragraphs and the page number in which they appear. 5. You need to read everything that has been written on your subject. If there's too much, your subject is too broad. That is why you want your research question to be narrow. I'm afraid in fact that there is no other way around it. The risks are too big for you to take a chance, because if you repeat something that has been said already, your master thesis is nothing more than a nice summary, and if your supervisor knows about it, this is a recipe for failure. 6. When you read, write, take notes. This means that you should start writing on day 1. Do not wait until the end of your master thesis, because it does not work. So you should write, write, and write. Second, once you have read everything and you have taken the note, try to group articles by subjects or ideas. If you do that, you will see that a map for your master thesis will emerge out of the process. 8. You want to use EVERNOTE or a similar software. The idea here is to centralize all the sources that you have found in just one single space. Why? Because first, it allows you to research keywords within all the documents that you have found in just 1 second. And 2, it allows you to put your notes next to the sources that you have found, as you can see on the software just here. 9. Do not lose time using citation software such as Zotero. Now, this is a controversial statement, but I think that in the context of your master thesis, using those software by which you need to enter manually all the documents and enter all the meta information to be able to generate citation will amount to a loss of time because you do not want to use the same sources several times. 10. Start downloading academic articles where they appear in their published form so that you have the right page number that you can quote. Hain Online is a good one for that, but of course Hain Online does not have everything, so you also need to check Google Scholars, Google, SRN and other platforms and aggregators. 11. Do not think that you can finish chapter 1 and then write chapter 2 and then write chapter 3 and so on and so forth. You need to write a first draft of everything so that you can go back at it over and over again. So you need to rewrite, and rewrite once again your master thesis. 12, and this is my final point, when you gather the data, for example, a list of cases that you want to analyze, you must explain why you have decided not to include more data, meaning more cases, or said differently, you want to explain why you have selected those cases, this dataset. For example, you may want to say that you have taken all the cases in a specific category, and if not, please explain your methodology. Also, and that's the final point, keep this data in a separate file because your master thesis supervisor, or later on, a good journals may want to access the data to know whether or not they will publish your master thesis. On that good note, thank you very much for listening, take care of yourself, and if you can, someone else too. Cheers!